What is up, my friends, and welcome to UFL Week In Review, one of the longest running UFL podcasts in human history. I'm Mark Perry. This is show number 35, and we're diving deep into the UFL offseason. Get ready. We got the draft results, coaching shakeups, plus some juicy speculation. You're going to stay for that. Plus, we've got a packed notes section you won't want to miss. Let's kick it off.
USFL is in business.
The XFL is underway.
There's no doubt spring just got stronger.
All right, my friends, we have the results of the 2024 college draft taking place July 17th. Exclusive rights here. So the Arlington Renegades, we have a breakdown from each team. Three. 3, 2, 1. All right, we are back. No. 3, 2, 1. All right, we have the UFL's 2024 college draft class. Now, these are players that are on NFL rosters as of right now. Some of them are, most of them are. We have a full breakdown, each team on UFL News Hub if you want to check your favorite team. But we have the draft results here by team. So each team selected 10 players. The Memphis Showboats had the top players, the first round pick in each of the rounds. There were 10 rounds. And we have the list below, some quarterbacks in there. John Rise Plumlee from UCF was picked in the first round by the Arlington Renegades. All of these guys were just college players that are on NFL squads right now, with the idea that they basically could be potential fringe guys that get cut, and then they could be playing in the UFL, or they could stay with the league. So if you are bored during the NFL preseason, it will be wise to kind of watch now, because you could follow some of these guys. We have which team each player is on the different team breakdowns on UFL News Hub if you want to see if players that on your favorite team and what team NFL teams they're on. The first round pick for the Birmingham Stallions was Frank Crum, offensive tackle. They went off to offensive tackle twice, with a running back then on the third round with Imani Bailey. DC Defenders went with tackle. They went with two quarterbacks actually in their draft. Kadon Slovis from BYU and Tanner Mordecai from Wisconsin in the 9th round. I'm not going to go through all of these players. You should look them up online. But they went with tackle, quarterback, defensive tackle. Houston Roughnecks under Will Lewis went defensive end with Ayabi Akui from Charlotte, and then Tra Flynn, safety from Middle Tennessee State, and Cameron Stutz, an offensive guard from Auburn. They didn't pick a quarterback in there. Even picked a tight end in the last round of the draft. Memphis Showboats had the number 1 pick, and that went to Jason Bean, a quarterback from Kansas, with the first overall. Then they went running back, Blake Watson from Memphis, and then Evan Anderson, a defensive tackle from Florida Atlantic, with the 3rd round. 4th round went Jalen Cooker, wide receiver from Holy Cross. And then they also took Mason Tippin, wide receiver at Yale, at 10. Michigan Panthers went offensive tackle from Illinois with Julian Pearl with the first pick in their round. Dwight McLaughlin, cornerback from Arkansas, and Isaac Ukua, defensive end from Mississippi, in the 3rd round for them. Brahmas, Gabe Hall, defensive tackle from Baylor, was their first pick. Gabriel Murphy, offensive line, outside linebacker from UCLA. In the 2nd, Donovan Jennings, tackle from South Florida, is 3rd. They took a wide receiver, Ledretrick Griffin, in the 6th round from Mississippi State. And another wide receiver, Joshua Cephas, in the 10th round, UTSA. Battlehawks took a quarterback with their first pick. Siobhan Cordero, quarterback from San Jose State, in the 1st round. Cody Schrader, running back from Missouri, in the 2nd. And Fedarius Payne, defensive end from Hokies, Virginia Tech, in the 3rd round as well. They took 2 wide receivers. Guys, you're already stacked at wide receiver, St. Louis Battlehawks. Jillian Baker from Limestone in the 7th round, and South Dakota State wide receiver Jaden Janke in the 8th round. Again, full recap. What makes this interesting for UFL fans going into the NFL training camps is keeping an eye on these players if they get cut, and if we get a chance to see them in the first preseason game, you might be able to see some of these guys in the draft class. So it actually makes NFL preseason interesting. Houston Roughnecks GM Will Lewis cleans house, 32 players in all. So their inaugural season, of course, they went 1-9. Will Lewis take over as the new general manager. The previous general manager retired. Notable players cut. Mark Thompson, who finished the season as the number 12 running back in the league, played 7 games, 66 carries, 225 yards with 5 touchdowns, added 6 receptions and 33 yards. He was effective when he was healthy, but he was unavailable for 3 games. He's a little bitter. He says, I'm healthy now and I have a chip on my shoulder from the team that did me wrong, did all of us wrong. And if I'm being real, just know this she gonna be circled, whatever that means. So he is back. Surprising move. Defensive back Donald Rutledge was also one of the players cut. Second highest number of tackles on the team with 55, ranking 12th in the league. Rutledge was second only to Raquel Roby. Tight end Brandon Bowman was also a player dismissed. Bowman played in all 10 games, 2 touchdowns, 8 catches for 65 yards. Of course, Bowman's situation was painful because he has a sick child in the hospital needing open heart surgery, and health insurance suddenly could be gone, though I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think, you usually at least would have it to the end of the month, and then you could pay for Cobra. There's usually those kind of things. But again, he needed to reach out to the UFLPA for that kind of stuff. So we have a full list on the website. On total, 32 players were cut. Other names, Ezra Gray is on the list, a wide receiver. They also recently signed, of course, a bunch of players as well. So a big shakeup. And it seems like Coach Johnson is staying with the team. They are having some kind of an event in Houston this weekend with the Houston side of the showcase. So it seems like he's staying. Him and Will Lewis will team up, and hopefully they can clean up the team. But cleaning house in Houston Roughnecks. So it'll be really interesting of who they bring in and potentially where they're going to be playing in 2025. We have a little insider news from yours truly here at UFL News Hub. So who is the new UFL's new VP of communication? Who's next? So Sports Illustrated, our main man, Anthony Miller, former of our XFL News Hub, broke the news last week that UFL Vice President of Communications, Jeff Alstadler, is no longer with the league. The article stated that Alstadler and the UFL had mutually parted ways. That was the quote. No replacement has been announced. This change must have been recently because 3 weeks ago, he posted the following on LinkedIn. I'm so proud of what we accomplished in our first year as a combined entity. Now we can improve, excel, and challenge the norms. The future of the UFL is bright. And then you're gone. And he even posted something like a couple days before he got let go. Now, sources told UFL News Hub that at the beginning of the XFL and USFL merger, Alstadler's name was one. He was kind of on the hot seat. I was hearing things about a 50-50 chance that he was going to be part of the new merged United Football League with former USFL Vice President of Communications Daryl James was in the mix as well. At the time of the merger, the feeling behind the scenes that James would be the guy because of Fox's thing, but eventually they went with Alstadler, and then in the end they went with him, and now he is out. Originally hired, he was the Vice President of Communications. It was hired by the XFL in August of 2022. Before that, it spent 10 years with the NHL's New Jersey Devils, 9+ years with the United States Golf Association, USGA, and 1 year with PointsBet before joining the XFL. From what I heard from sources who told me was that he was too much of a golf guy. Didn't really understand the football aspect of things. That's kind of what I heard behind the scenes when it came to him. So now he is gone. And I mean, this is the part of this is an important job why we're reporting this. And it's important because, this is the person that's connecting with not only the mainstream media, but also us media types too, that are trying to cover the league as best as we can. A return of Darren James to spring football. So who's in the mix? Since he has strong ties with the UFL side of the house, that name was brought up. St. Louis Battlehawks Director of Team Communications and Media Relations, Brian Stahl, was a name. And of course, the media, and because he's in the media market, which is the most successful in UFL franchise. Also hearing UFL Director of Communications and Media Relations, Bianca Gomez, is an outside possibility. This would be a promotion for her. The league could also bring in someone outside of spring football world from Fox Sports to save money. I threw in there Stephanie Rutnick, if you remember her from XFL 2.0, Senior Vice President of Communications and Media Relations. Could they bring her back? But no, because she lives in, I believe, Australia now. So her return is very unlikely. Also heard that it looks like Darren James is out. Hearing maybe that they couldn't agree on to terms potentially, but that sounds like they did reach out to him to try to bring him back. Again, the league is trying to trying to save money. They are adding new people to the list mix, but so he is out. So it'll be interesting to see who they bring in. I don't think clearly they're probably not going to spend a ton of money on this position. My guess is they're going to just keep the same team and maybe not add that position to save money this next season because they might want to put money somewhere else. So we'll just have to kind of see. But the head of communications for the UFL is out, and this is a very important position, in my opinion, to not have it filled soon. And we will see where who lands in this spot, and maybe somebody new comes in. We'll keep you posted. So UFL head coaches contracts end. Who's staying, who's going? We got the latest speculation. This was early in July. So all 8 UFL coaches contracts expired on June 30th, 2024. Coaches are classified as seasonal employees. Basically, they're off payroll until January 1st when the new league year officially begins. So the UFL faced a period of uncertainty as all 8 head coaches contract expired June 30th. The development has turned basically all the coaches into free agents. The contract expiration affect coaches across the UFL teams, including all of them. Under the UFL's new employment structure, head coaches are classified as seasonal employees. This means they are on payroll from July, basically off of payroll from July 1st, 2024 until January 1st, 2025. They also lose their health insurance coverage. That was something that's, people really need. The season employment model allows the league to reduce the cost, but creates a situation where coaches have the freedom to explore other opportunities on the offseason. But they'll be making appearances at events like the summer showcases, and they will be paid for their travel. UFL GMs stay on payroll from what we're hearing. So they're year-round. They're the only year-round kind of football people, but the coaches are on that seasonal aspect. Now, sources have told USFL News Hub that UFL head coaches are very unhappy about this new arrangement, with some threatening to not return in 2025. 3 names we've heard contemplating not returning are the Stallions' Skip Holtz, Defenders' Reggie Barlow, and Battlehawks' Anthony Beck. Skip Holtz, of course, of the Birmingham Stallions, led the team to 3 consecutive championships. Reggie Barlow of the DC Defenders led the team to the XFL championship in 2023. Last season was second in attendance, but middle of the road at 4-6. And of course, Anthony Beck, St. Louis Battlehawks, XFL Conference Championship, had a game at home, but lost to the Brahmas. Bob Stoops, Arlington Renegades, are among the high-profile coaches affected by this change as well. His contract, Wade Phillips' contract are all kind of done. I think when they initially brought them on, they all signed 2-year deals. And that was kind of the deal. Now the 2-year deals are up, and now they're just switching them to seasonal employees. Though this shouldn't be, Skip Holtz was already like that before. So we'll have to kind of see what's going on with there. So the UFL single entity structure where the league handles all hiring, firing decision adds another layer of complexity. This gives the UFL flexibility to make coaching changes without contract restrictions. So basically they can let them go every year, but who knows what's going on. We've heard that maybe Bob Stoops would be coming back. Of course, we have the news that Lionel Vital was retiring, and Will Lewis is taking over. We know all about that. Some coaches like John DiFilippo and CJ Johnson of Houston have expressed a strong desire to return. Others might take a different option. Think about Anthony Beck. He makes more money doing preseason Jet games than working for the UFL now. That is correct. That is what I've heard, that he makes more money doing preseason Jets games than coaching in the UFL. However, the timing of the contract expiration in July presents a challenge because coaches are already, if they're transitioning to new roles, those roles are basically already filled. So that's kind of where that stands there. And also the contract situation also affects assistant coaches whose future may depend on the head coach's decision. Remember in 2023, when head coach of the XFL San Antonio Brahmas, Hines Ward, decided at the last minute he would not return because of a pay cut. His whole coaching staff were then let out of a job and scrambling. We know how all about that stuff goes. As the UFL prepares for the 2025 season, the coach situation remains fluid. We haven't heard anything about coaching changes or whatever. We've heard about some staff. XFL president and former president and CEO Oliver Luck told Reed Johnson in the Markcast of how important it was to keep head coaches full time. He said, "My preference would be not to do that. He would have full-time coaches in the NFL Europe. When we use those guys in the offseason, they'd come over to Europe. We'd have clinics in France and Germany and everywhere else just to keep the brand alive. You want it to be viable in any marketplace. I think the same true is of the UFL. So that is an important aspect of it. Like, use these guys that you're paying to do events. You have football, schools like starting to practice. I mean, that they're getting ready for the season, at least here in Maryland. I mean, you're talking August. The middle of August is when students go back to school, and practices and tryouts are starting in the beginning of August. Have these coaches come out to different schools. I mean, they could hit somewhere every week and just promoting the brand and getting out there, because Oliver Luck knows what he's doing when it comes to promoting these leagues and how it works. And just having these guys just sit at home now and not getting paid and not using them, they're your biggest names, because the players could fluctuate, but the coaches are important. They could be doing media. They could be doing other things. I mean, there's all sorts of things that they could do in the offseason to kind of promote the brand, but just to have them there to save a buck, I mean, that's kind of the problem that's the UFL is going to have to deal with. So we'll see how the offseason plays out and who stays and who goes, because really the GMs are the ones that are staying. So the way the team looks is up to them, but that they're talking to the coaches in the offseason. So just something to keep an eye on. Well, of course, even with the Players Association and what's going on with them. So this offseason, even though it's quiet and we're in the first sort of month, June, July month of the offseason, we're really in the first month. Be interesting to see what's going on. But coaches are appearing. Anthony Beck appeared at the showcase. I'm sure others will as well. So stay tuned this offseason where we see if any of these coaches actually jump ship or decide not to return.
Welcome to Pulse AI Solutions, where cutting-edge AI technology meets business innovation. Are you a small to medium-sized business looking to transform your operations and stay ahead of the competition? At Pulse AI Solutions, we specialize in AI consulting, delivering custom solutions tailored to your unique needs. Our team of experts designs and implements AI-driven strategies that boost efficiency and drive growth. From AI integration to tech innovation, we provide comprehensive support every step of the way. Join the revolution. Our custom AI solutions are designed to help businesses like yours thrive in the digital age. Experience the future of business with Pulse AI Solutions. Visit us at pulseaisolutions.com and transform your business today.
All right, we are back with our quick news and notes. UFL executive Daryl Johnston discussed the debut season, talks about Caitlin Clark. I think that he was on Fox 4 Free for All. I think they kind of twisted his words a little bit about Caitlin Clark. He said, when asked about the UFL's first season performance, Johnston acknowledged some disappointments with attendance. I think we're all probably a little bit disappointed, especially with the attendance. The TV numbers are fantastic, and I think that's one of the things. I think we were insulated with TV because of the merger coming together late. I think we were an entity for 72 days when we kicked off our first game. The fact that we were late, the fact that we had competition in the market for people to attend the games was challenging. Goes on to say that UFL owns the responsibility and talks about navigating the spring market with Caitlin Clark's impact. So getting people to go to the games this year was a bit of a challenge, and I think we need to own a little bit of that because we were late with the merger. We were late with the schedule, all which is true. There were things that gone on. We're a very competitive environment. When you talk about spring sports, soccer continues to grow in this country. True. Caitlin Clark is a phenom that swept the spring athletic scene. That is true too. But it was like he's blaming about the bend. I'm like, come on. This is why people hate the media, is when they do stuff like that. I just put Caitlin Clark because he just mentioned her name and it's important and people would click on it. It goes on to talk about 2025 and the importance of the new Friday night slot on Fox. We've talked about that, and players in the showcases and a couple other things. You want to check out that article, but I thought that was interesting, and they're owning it, which is fine. Now we move on. Report UFL outpaces NHL in viewership, focus on local sales for the 2025 season. These are some key points. This is from Molly Kalane and Ben Fisher from Sports Business Journal. Recently got some quotes from higher up within the UFL. Viewership performance, strong viewership in its season debut. We know that. Advertising and marketing. Despite the strong start, UFL has still established its market position. Eric Shanks explained ratings are strong, especially considering where this is carving out its space, but the ratings aren't big enough yet where it's its own individual upfront buy. Remember, they just had the upfronts, but UFL wasn't by itself as saying, hey, we're selling just for UFL, because they weren't big enough just yet in the Fox portfolio, and it's an important part. And we spend a lot of time making sure we have a package that fits into the upfront markets. But the UFL at this point is a part of the Fox portfolio, and it's going to grow. So they're definitely thinking long-term strategy with this. So it wasn't sold individually. The league is not ready to stand out on its own yet. But remember, the venue streaming sports platform planned by ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery is coming this fall. So stay tuned for that. Ticket sales strategy says its second season. UFL Press Brandon emphasizes its priority. We have a full season of some really successful markets, and markets we clearly need to invest more in. And clearly investing more in boots on the ground, talking about sales. Financial outlook is described as a work in project, Shanks said. We're on target with our business plan, but we're definitely still in investment mode, which we've heard they could lose money for 5 years. In the business plan each year, there's less cash investment that has to come in, and we're on target for this thing being way more sustainable going into next season, which is good. So we feel really good about it, and I think Redbird does too. Hopefully Redbird does too. We never hear much from Redbird Capital on their view of the UFL season in season 2. We are hearing from Fox primarily. We are hearing that Fox is primarily driving the UFL ship. Of course, we talked about this earlier. Redbird wanted to expand the league, but Fox didn't. Looks like Fox got its way. Just kind of keep it, and I understand that. But overall, the article was positive on the debut. Things that, nothing new. Too bad to sports here. UFL is expanding front office operations for the 2025 season, so they're looking for a staff accountant. The vice president of team business operations is needed for both the Birmingham Stallions and Michigan Panthers. There's also, we're kind of unsure of who was in that role, but they're also looking for a director of sponsorship and business development. So looking for their own accountant to cover the books. So, but that's really it. I rechecked the jobs posting site, and that's really been the only thing that's out there at this point. I think everything is about being seasonal and then moving into full-time during the season. We'll see how that plays out. They're just trying to save as much money as they can early on, and maybe they'll add more. We'll have to find out. The UFL concludes its inaugural season with significant growth. They put out this press release July 1st, exceeding expectations, viewership. The UFL reached 32 million unique viewers. The 2024 UFL season averaged 850,000 total viewers per game, 34% increase over the UFL and USFL and XFL, even though they were on better channels this go around. Network broadcast averaged 945 viewers through the championship game. That's up 9% against the 2023 XFL USFL. Table telecast averaged 630,000. That's up 43% from them combined last year. And then viewership for UFL Today, ESPN's digital weekly program, was up 20% from last year, even though no one promoted it except for us. Championship game, 1.596 million viewers on Fox, up 23%. It was not a good game. Best performance for a UFL game on any network. And then some other data. 283 million views across all social platforms, Instagram being the most. Facebook, TikTok second. X is last. Again, I don't even really like X, to be honest with you. It's kind of followers. They talk about 1.57 million on Insta. TikTok, 786,000. And just talking about the app and some other kind of interesting things there if you want to get in line. Go online to uflnewshub.com to check all that stuff out. Billings, on to other things. Billing Outlaws claimed the victory of the Arena Bowl. The AFL squeaked past its finale. They had their bowl at the America Dream Mall. Albany Firebirds won with Billings Outlaw triumphed over the Albany Firebirds with a score of 46-41. And they had a whole thing about just coming to an end with that season and teams going out. I always thought that league was on shaky ground. There's another league popping up here soon. We'll see how that goes. I'll talk about that later. There's going to be a team in Baltimore, but I'm still very highly skeptical. And if I'm not making money covering the UFL, why would I cover any of these other leagues in great depth? Though that's hopefully changing a little bit, and I'll get to that in a second. And the IFL expands its distribution to Stadium Network for the playoff games. So if you want to watch the playoff games, Stadium YouTube channel. In addition, their games will also be available on all the streaming platforms, Amazon Prime Video. So Stadium Network is a multi-network platform that is available through a variety of streaming platforms. IFL fans accustomed to the interactive YouTube experience will find playoff games at the Stadium YouTube channel. So, or you can just find the Stadium app because their playoffs are right around the corner. So that is the news and notes. All right, real quick, some emails. Rich checking in. He says, hello, I do not believe you missed anything not going to the. We drove up from Nebraska with a group of people, and the game was hard to watch. One guy in my group really enjoyed the game, but that's only because they were handing out free joints in the tailgating. For the rest of us, it was just not an exciting game. Here is our question. What is going to take to stop the Stallion? Are the other teams going to be able to step up? I know they will have a draft, but where are these players coming from? We cannot have finishes like this. Viewers. Anyway, love the podcast. Praying for you and your family. Rich checking in. Appreciate it, Rich. Yeah, we couldn't make it to the game. I'll have an update in a second on my wife and how things are going. But yeah, it was kind of a dud, to be honest with you. And to stop the Stallions, I think the league will be fine. I mean, St. Louis probably might have put up a good fight if AJ McCarron didn't get hurt. So we'll kind of have to see how this offseason plays out. And a really interesting, Skip Holtz returned. Does Potter, I think his name is, the general manager, does he return? Those are all questions that we're going to have to see during the offseason. Like, who's his coaching staff going to be? I mean, those things are a factor in how things turn out. Dan checking in about he says, I've been a USFL fan of the Birmingham Stallions for now 3 years. What spring football brings is another way to enjoy football. From other teams more than likely dislike the Stallions because of in a row, but from what I saw, the Panthers have improved so much, never got to the XFL, but those teams are amazing. If the UFL won't expand the league 2 more teams in 2025 season, then maybe add 2 more regular season games. I don't think it was interesting to see no extra point by kicking through the uprights this season. Just another way to make these games interesting. In my opinion, the league should grow to at least be a farm system to the NFL, possibly be a bridge from college to pro level. I mean, that's kind of what I'm not sure what about Birmingham Stallions' fate will be future seasons, but I'm going to enjoy the ride. Giddy up. Can't wait for the 2025 season. Yeah, you guys will be fine. It's just really the question mark is going to be who is Adam checking in says, thanks. Really enjoy the website. Do like the fact that UFL draft has so many UD undrafted free agent players get selected. How so many? Yeah, I don't know. I really felt like it was mostly guys that are on NFL squads right now, but they could all be cut. Stay tuned for that and make it interesting. NFL. Should they have rounds of the draft of players not currently on it to open the door for more FCS, Division II, Division III, HBU state players? I think they're good the way they're at now. They guys can, because remember that was the draft, so these teams can go ahead and pick up players that they want from these others, if they choose to do that. But appreciate the email, Adam. And yeah, so on personal side, let me just give you an update. So there's a chance that my wife won't need a stem cell prayer. So I thank you for praying for me and my family. I also, so if you think that I do this for a living, you are crazy. I've talked about this before, but I don't know if I don't think it happened in my last podcast, but I did get laid off on my real job. Banner year for the Perry family this year, between my wife getting cancer and I got laid off, but job market's looking good, talking to a lot of different places. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm not officially laid off until the end of September. So I have some wiggle room. But yeah, it was just like, you got to be all this stuff going on. Good news is we have ads now. We have basically, I waited it out to get on a really good ad partner. Google hasn't really fixed their thing, so traffic is light across all my platforms right now, which stinks. However, do have my own written version. That's right, I wrote it, of the CFL News Hub, which will then be ported to the UFL News Hub app. That is in approval stage for Android. So there'll be an updated version of that. It's actually got standings, it's got league leaders, and it's got the schedule on there, things that fans have asking. Why am I telling you that now? Well, because that is going to get ported over to the UFL version. So you'll have that on your Android. That is coming soon. Once that gets approved and the app runs fine and there's no issues with it, then I can port it over to UFL, and then we'll have that updated out there for you. Once that's completed, then I'm going to focus on the iPhone app, because they were just being little bees, not approving my other one. But so that's kind of where things are at. I wanted to talk about those things, but that's right, that's the last thing. So there's a survey on the website. Just go to uflnewshub.com. There's a survey, fill it out. It's been interesting reading your response. I think I know how things should go. I'm always wrong. I think, and even email me, podcast at UFL News Hub, things that you want to see us do more. A lot of you guys like the behind the scenes stuff. And I'm getting a sense that you don't really care about like the player, like wanting to learn about the players more, but you want to kind of like the behind the scenes of the league. I mean, somebody even suggested having like an expansion section, because people just like to have fun and speculate on expansion there. What do you want from us as far as our social media feeds go and whatever. So I'm not going anywhere. This site will be here. We're probably going to add a subscription, because the revenue is just not, 80% drop across the board in traffic for all of my sites, 80%. And I have multiple sites, and I'm watching it impacting one of our advertisers right now. So it's just, everybody's getting wrecked. Unless you're a big time website, you're getting wrecked right now. Supposedly they're changing things, and Google is changing too. I've noticed it too. So, and now my phone just popped on because I said the G word. So that's what's going on there. So, and I was supposed to go to the showcase, the UFL showcase at University of Maryland. I was all set to go. And then my wife and I were going to go to the, the event, the fan event after for the DC Defenders. Super excited. We were supposed to fly home on Saturday from a week vacation in Florida. We got to the airport at 2:00. Our flight was at 2:00. We got there at noon. By 10 p.m., due to mechanical problems, they canceled the flight. My wife had her most important, we were meeting with the stem cell doctor that Monday, and we couldn't get a flight out until Monday afternoon. So at 10 p.m. at night, turned around, went to the rental car place, got a Suburban, and drove, paid $200 whatever, and I was on United. And I appreciate it. Don't fly a plane if it's broken. Just the way the whole system, the thing was handled, but they did refund, and we're still working things out. We'll see. I might complain. I don't know. My wife is handling that. Drove the 12 hours to the airport to pick up our cars and drove home. So by the time we got home, it was so late. I already missed and I was like, finally, I'm going to go to a showcase here in DC after all the years of doing it, because I'm always on vacation, or I was never home. I was finally going to be home. And then I was finally going to hang out with the DC Defenders fans that night. And we didn't get back till late. I was burnt, exhausted. And then my wife had, not feeling 100%. She had her appointment the next day. So we were like, she had her treatment. And then we had to drive straight to Baltimore to Johns Hopkins. Yeah. So it was kind of, the dark one is testing us out there, shooting some arrows, but God's got this. That's always been our mantra. And I've been giving plasma actually twice a week ever since. So trying to help people make a little bit of money, see what happens. So there you have it, friends. We'll be back in August for another episode. We're going to just do monthly check-ins, see how things are going. And, there's more showcases on the horizon. I think August will be a little bit quieter. We got the NFL season. We'll be able to see these players in action. And then we have gear up towards the season. So always fun, exciting stuff going on. And we're just trying to, guide and figure out how we're going to do this for season 2. And we're just thankful that there is too. Miss hanging out with my DC Defender family every Sunday And, with Friday night games and whatever, I haven't season ticket renewals you can get your season tickets now. The renewals hasn't come up yet. That will be coming soon. And maybe we'll hear about when the schedule is. I'll keep my ears to the ground, still be talking to people. So anyway, appreciate your prayers as always. God's got this, trust in him. But I mean, man, this first couple months of the first season of the UFL has been pretty rough. Staying strong and saying our prayers and eating our vitamins too, like Hulk Hogan says. All right, that's it for me, folks. As always, God bless. And I will see you all in a month. You all later.